I've already pre-prepared this to go around the bottom of the pot, so I'll have all of my bits and pieces ready for gluing. Now, hopefully this won't be too hard to see with my black glue and my black tiles, because I will use black grout, so it will be all fixing together. If it's not black grout, it's going to be dark grey. I'm leaning towards a dark grey. Now, if you haven't seen my videos on fast and easy edging, that's the technique I'm using here. So please go have a look at that, and it's going to help your life so much. So here I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue on the bottom. So I'll do my 4 tile demo. Then I'll slide the, oops, hang on, I'm going to make a terrible mess. Then I'll slide this over here to roughly where I want it to be. Then lift it up and give it a bit of a press around until it's pretty much in the right spot. I use my trusty measurer for everything, and I'll just slide that in underneath there to make sure it's straight, and I've got room for the grout on the bottom of the pot. So that'll be nice and straight there. Couldn't be easier than that. Oh no, you'll look at this one again, because it's such a neat little trick. Now I'll go away and finish all of this bit here. Now I've had my damp cloth over the top of these tiles that had face tape glue on them, and you can see it's all gone a little bit white and it's dampened it off, but I can just rub it all off now. So that glue, you can see the glue there, just comes away. It just couldn't be much easier than that. Some people leave it and allow the grouting process to take care of it, but you know what? I don't want that gunge in my grout. And there we go, all back to shiny. Before we get into the wonders of gluing, I just wanted to talk about these little beads on the top. They're very popular, and I often see them being used around the rim of bottles, vases and pots, and I would suggest to you that perhaps it's not the best choice. Now the reason being is that grout fills in spaces, so the only space you've got is this tiny little bit between each of these, which means that whatever grout you put up here is potentially going to just fall off. Or crack or whatever, because there is insufficient stuff or surroundings to hold the grout. So just think about that. You might be better off popping these little guys as a border around the top here somewhere, because they do look quite pretty with the light shining through. Just a really quick chat about cleaning up. This is what I glued yesterday, and I've grabbed my favourite tools, a little protter scraper thing here, a hook. The best ones are in the US from Scubies, they're just awesome. Postage is just outrageous. And this little slicer and dicer. That's all I really need. And I would only use all 3 if I had a bad hair day. So let's have a look at quickly how to clean up. Like I say, it's been about 12 hours because I did this yesterday afternoon, and now I can very gently remove the sticky tape or face tape or packing tape, contact, whatever tape it is that you've used. It will leave a residue on it, but because it's water soluble, all you need is a wet cloth. Make it damp, lean it over the top of the tiles for about 30 seconds to get into any gum that's left on, and give it a good rub. So let's have a look at, you can see this is really poking up above this, but when I put the tile on the top here and the grout goes in the middle, I don't need to worry because there's plenty of room for the grout here. But on this one here, there is plenty of room for the grout, but I'd like to just clean it off a bit because I'm fussy. So you can cut it with the end of the tool, like this sometimes, depending on how far it's dried. You can see that's dried really, really well because it's been a warm, humid day. So I can scrape that off. I can turn this around with the pokey bit to get it off if this is the only tool I've got. Alternatively, I'll see if I can find another gungy one. So now I've got plenty of room for the grout when I do this top bit, which is going to come next. Oh, here's the yucky bit. Now, can you see these yucky bits poking up here? A little bit messy. So they're smaller, and I would probably use this little cutting tool here. And I've talked about these ones in many a video. So just slice and dice that one. And you need to be careful if you're on wood, but because we're on terracotta, turn it over with the little point and then scrape it off. All good. I can scrape this off if I want to. I like to have it all clean because I don't want a bad gluing job to interfere with my grouting. Here's another bit. I can just go slice and scrape it off. Super easy. I finished the border around the bottom or the frame or whatever you want to think about that. Now it's time to do this lip. I like to do this because that actually finishes it for me. I'm not keen on painted, but really at the end of the day, that's up to you. If you're going to paint, choose a colour that doesn't overpower your beautiful design on your pot. So not too bright perhaps, but it really, at the end of the day, it's what you want to achieve with your mosaic here. On the top here, the next question is, how do I make the squares go in a circle? This will be potentially your very first advanced technique. And what we're going to do is use half a keystone, which means we cut a little bit off a square to make it go into a circle. And once you start doing this, you will never use squares without it. So over here, just to demonstrate, over here I've just got straight squares, and I don't know if you can see the little V shape or pizza-y shape that will happen in this grout line without the cut. And in this one here, we can get all the grout lines pretty much the same. So how do we do that to achieve that circle? Because it's just a grout line and a small tile, I'm just drawing the where I'm going to cut, which is that black line, and you can see it's the weeniest little wedge. I'll show you on a bigger tile because it's much easier to see. So half keystones. I use these all the time for big circles. So if I'm doing a bird bath, I'll be using this. I've done it on the outside of my koi table, which makes it look like an absolutely perfect edge. I was really thrilled with it. And when you really get into it, you'll be able to do all sorts of curves. So now I'll go away and cut and glue all of these tiles. I'll put glue around here, very similar to the bottom edge that I did, and then just place the tiles on the top, and I'll use my trusty measurer to make sure they're level with this part here. So next time we have a look, we'll be ready to start to look at flowers, and you'll see the finished top.